love you all more.
Why don't you just make 10 louder and make 10 be the top number and make that a little louder?
These go to 11.
Yeah, thanks for giving us a call and an opportunity to chat about the upcoming record.
Thank you. Thanks for having me on.
So you have the solo record. I believe November 16th, I believe, is a release date.
That's correct.
And give us a little bit of a background of how long the record's been in the works and stuff, because I think, obviously the KNAC.com readers know or are fully aware that you're a member of the Alice Cooper Band and stuff like that. So I imagine this has probably been kind of a process as far as getting this thing together.
Yeah, it's definitely been a process. It's a very kind way of saying it. But this is the album I've been wanting to make since I started playing guitar. All my heroes are instrumental guitar players. Orianthi, Paul Gilbert, Yngwie Malmsteen. So I've always wanted to make an album that would follow in their footsteps. And, it took a long time to do it because of my amazing day job, which you mentioned earlier, playing with Alice Cooper. But having a few months off this summer while Alice was touring with his band, the Hollywood Vampires, was the perfect opportunity to make it happen.
And, and I know you said this is a record that you've always wanted to make. I mean, obviously you need to, in this day and age, I think just with the way the music industry works or has evolved, I think, to do an instrumental record, that definitely, you have to really be dedicated to that rather than just slapping some vocals in there somewhere, right?
Well, yeah, it's something, it has to be done with intent. You have to write the songs to be played instrumentally rather than saying, okay, this is something you could do vocals or do without. You're definitely right.
Mm-hmm. And at any point, did you think, well, is it, is this the right direction to go? Or were you just full on dedicated to just say, this is what it's going to be and that's what I'm sticking with? In terms of instrumental record, that is.
Yeah, I was just full speed ahead with the instrumental idea. I have a band with a singer called Restart Wars that's been out for a couple years now. I've played in dozens of bands with different singers, and I feel like I've done it, and I'll continue to do it. But this record was just supposed to be really showcasing what I can do on my own, which is play guitar.
Right. And then you also have some, think of like a fall tour coming up, because I think, I'm calling you from Oregon, so we're out near Portland, but there's a date coming up. I think it's December or something for the Paris Theater out in Portland, Oregon. But so how'd you put this thing together? And obviously this is going to be doing, you had to really be strategic in terms of lining this up around the Cooper stuff, I imagine.
Yeah, definitely. I have to work around my day job just like every other working musician does. It's a great problem to have. But this will be my first solo tour. I'll be going out co-headlining with one of my absolute favorite guitar players, Angel Vivaldi. And even though I'm an established guitar player, to go out for my first solo tour and get to play with a guitar player like him is really a blessing. So I'm extremely excited. And that tour will go from November 19th to December 21st.
Okay. We'll make sure we get those things, the dates linked to this as well. And, you've been...
That'd be huge. Thank you.
Yeah, you've been doing all sorts of stuff, though, because you've been busy. I think at one point you were, well, it's now a defunct league, but you also had the gig with the LA Kiss. And, how many people did you have to fight for that position? Because, I imagine they probably had all sorts of guitarists lining up for that particular audition.
I'm actually not sure that they did look at anyone else.
Oh, wow.
I think that I'm not sure. Obviously I wasn't in the meetings with Gina and Paul when they were discussing who was going to play the anthem at the games, but I'm not sure that they did look at anyone else. I just got a call saying, is this something you'd be interested in? And I said, absolutely. Just tell me when and where to be. And, as a lifelong sports fan, and especially as a lifelong Los Angeles sports fan, I'm born and raised in LA, to have the opportunity to play the national anthem for a Los Angeles sports team, was just an absolute dream come true. And to get to do it for Gina and Paul was just the icing on the cake.
Right. And how was it? I mean, to have Gene and Paul as your essentially your employers and stuff. I mean, were you starstruck at all?
I was a little, but I didn't work too directly with them. It was mostly the talent bookers for the organization that I worked hands-on with. But I really didn't interact with the actual KISS guys too much besides, the initial meeting at the first game. And then I had a really lovely interaction with Paul on my last day because, I had to actually leave. I had to miss the last half of the season to start the Alex Cooper tour. And they had me booked for the entire rest of the summer to be these shows. And I had to make, a tough email and say, hey, I have to go. I can't finish out my commitment to you guys, but I have an extremely good reason.
Right.
And, that was the Alice Cooper Motley Crue, the final tour. So they were extremely understanding. And Paul actually took me aside on the last day and congratulated me. And if we have to lose you to anyone, I'm glad it's the Alice Cooper organization because they're going to treat you really well and get a lot of respect for them. So it was really, really cool of him to do that.
Nice. And is there a particular sports team that you follow? I mean, I know you said you grew up in LA area and stuff like that. I imagine, there's a lot of LA teams out there, but is there any particular one that you hold your allegiance to and stuff?
Well, I will say this. I think I'm like one of the first, for the longest time, LA didn't have a football team.
Right.
And we didn't have anybody to get behind. So I'm excited to be behind the Rams because, they need them. All the LA fans have already been pledging their allegiance to other teams for so many years. So I'm excited to see the LA Rams doing so well this year. I really am.
No kidding. I hate to say it, but they're awesome. But what about your involvement with the WWE? I mean, how did you get involved with the sports and entertainment?
Well, I'm a huge fan, so it's a lot of fun to be involved in something that you're already a fan of no matter what. And so I'm trying to think when my journey in pro wrestling started. I guess it started actually before WWE at an indie pro wrestling show in LA called PCW Ultra. And I was going to the shows, and then I started playing different wrestlers' music, their entrance music at the show. I played Rob Van Dam's music. I played Pento, Pero Miedo, and the Great Muda down to the ring. And then my manager, Josh, had this vision of us getting to the big stage, to the WWE. And he said, look, I have this vision that you're going to play at WrestleMania, and and we didn't know anybody. We didn't have any connection there. We knew some wrestlers, but nobody at the top, nobody that could make the right call for us. And just by asking around and asking the right people and knocking on doors and having doors slammed in our face and knocking on the next door and having a door slammed in our face, finally the right door opened. And with the help of some very key people, we were able to get in front of the right people and get booked for WrestleMania. And that was just an absolute dream come true. And ever since then, we've had an amazing relationship with WWE and have a lot of really exciting stuff coming up with them. So I'm very excited for what the future holds.
Nice. Favorite old school wrestler and why? And then also favorite present day wrestler and why?
Old school would have to be Ultimate Warrior. From the time his music hits or how he gets in the ring, shakes the ropes, just his attitude and charisma. He wasn't the most well-spoken wrestler on the mic. He didn't have the greatest skill set, the greatest moveset, but his gosh, was he cool. He was my first favorite wrestler. And of the newer wrestlers, I'm loving heel Becky Lynch. I feel like heel Becky Lynch is the new Stone Cold Steve Austin because no matter what she does, no matter how far her heel turn goes, the crowd will still get behind her. I love to hear them chanting her name. I love to hear, to watch the crowd just support her no matter what she does because she worked so hard to get where she is, and it's amazing to see.
Nice. And then obviously, I think a lot of the folks that read the site, listen to the site, know that you were part of the Iron Maidens there for a chunk of time of your life. Were you a huge Maiden fan going into that? And how'd you get the gig and any fond memories of being in that band?
It was amazing playing with them because They actually just had a birthday this week. The
I
Iron
saw
Maidens
that.
turned 17.
That's crazy.
Crazy, right?
Right.
And I joined up with them on their 10-year anniversary, not on the date, but the year of their 10-year anniversary. Right. And the Iron Maidens were such a huge deal where I grew up. You could not go into a venue, bathroom, or a tattoo parlor, or any place that was remotely rock and roll. You couldn't go anywhere without seeing these posters of these 5 badass girls, and everybody knew how legendary they were, and their stage show was. And people were always whispering, "Did you notice this band they have their own CO2 cannons, and they have TV screens on stage, and they have a giant Eddie," which portrayed me really well for working with the giant Frankenstein in super band. But they were so legendary. So to get to play with them from 2011 to 2014 was an amazing education for me as a musician, because you get that opportunity to just go out and cut your teeth on tour. You get the chance to just go out and play a whole bunch of shows and get used to being on stage and having mishaps happen, and anything that can go wrong will go wrong, and you learn how to deal with it. And that was a great education.
Right. You spoke about mishaps. Is there one in particular that stands out right now?
From the Iron Maidens or in general?
Well, either or. It could be Iron Maidens. It could be like a stage mishap just in the Cooper band, or any other things that you've been a part of, or maybe even LA Kiss thing. Oh my gosh.
Oh gosh, I'm the queen of the stage mishaps. Let's see. Well, if we're talking about the Iron Maiden specifically, I mentioned that the band they carried their own CO2 cannon,
right,
which is unheard of for a local band to have this kind of thing. And my first few shows with them, I didn't quite have the timing down of when the CO2 was going to go off. So, after a few shows, you kind of go, okay, it's going to go off at this intro, it's going to go off at this bridge. You kind of get the high point in the show where the cannons are going to fire.
Right.
But the first couple of shows, I was still getting my bearings. So right at this one really intense part of one song, I put my foot up on the drum riser, and I turned around and looked at the drummer with this kind of wordless scream, yeah, just opened my mouth as wide as I could, right into the CO2 cannon, right in the face. So my eyelashes were all broken off. All the little baby hairs around my face were all broken off. But we had a good laugh about it.
Nice. And I was gonna ask this. I just got a couple more things, and I'll cut you loose. There was a time, because I think you did the shoot for a calendar, and I think you've been part of a couple of calendars for the Revolver magazine. And if I recall, this was a few years back, because I think you were fielding questions that people would I forget whether it was Twitter or on Facebook, but you were answering questions on a particular day. And I remember I was like, oh, I got to ask her about that, because there was a photo for that calendar. You were sitting, I forget, on a chair, on a couch or whatever, but you had your guitar, you're wearing a denim jacket, and inside the jacket you could see that there was an autograph inside. And I remember you said it was Kerry King's signature, but you didn't elaborate. So now there's got to be a cool story behind that. So I thought I'd throw that one out.
That is an amazing question, and I wish I had a better answer for you, but that was a borrowed vest.
Was it really?
It was a borrowed vest. So it was Kerry King. I know the picture you're talking about.
Right.
It was in the Revolver, Hottest Chicks in Hard Rock.
That's it. Yeah, there you go.
Sitting on. But yeah, that was a borrowed vest. So I actually don't know the story of the Kerry King signature.
Oh,
but that's
cool though.
I love that.
The other one that I was going to ask you in closing, because this is a very big deal. Jason Becker's putting out some new music, and I know you're a huge fan. So I don't know if you have any comments on the upcoming record he's going to put out.
I am probably the most excited of anybody to hear this record. Just that first track that they put out is so insane, and to see the caliber of people that he has involved with it, as if Jason himself isn't the highest caliber that you can get. To see the people that he has playing and working on this album, it's just absolutely mind blowing. So I'm the most excited of anybody to hear it.
Nice. And it comes out in December, I believe. So it seems still got a few, couple months or whatever. So listen, thanks so much for taking a few moments to answer some questions. We're going to get this transcribed, thrown on the website. We're going to add all the tour dates. We're going to add all the social media stuff and get links for all that stuff and then get you guys a link.
Thank you so much, and I appreciate that. Talking to you guys and having you share is so big for us. So thank you very, very much.
Very cool. Hope to see you in Portland. So have a good one.
Please do come on out.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye bye.